here, that sort of thing. So even though it's scary, it just seems so easy. All right, so, I'll let you explain.
Here are a few famous quotes I'd like to read to you. Any country that accepts abortion is not teaching its people to love, but to use violence to get what they want. That is why the greatest destroyer of love and peace is abortion. And if we can accept that a mother can kill her own child, how can we tell other people not to kill one another? And by abortion, the mother does not learn to love, but kills her own child to solve her own problems. And by abortion, that father is told he does not have to take any responsibility at all for the child he has brought into this world. The father is likely to put other women into the same trouble. So abortion leads to more abortion. These powerful quotes are from the beloved Mother Teresa.
All right, so this is what happens to a teenager who's had an abortion. Okay, teens are significantly more likely to suffer lacerations or hemorrhage during an abortion procedure. Those younger than 18% have a 150% increased risk of developing breast cancer, with an 800% increased risk if they had their abortion between 9 and 24 weeks. I know that's kind of crazy. But listen, this is what happens. When a woman becomes pregnant with a baby, her breasts start to prepare for lactation so that she can feed an infant once the infant is delivered. If that pregnancy is abruptly ended, she has all these cells that have gone into her breast to produce milk that are stranded there and they don't have anything to do. So her body begins to attack. Those cells begin to attack her body. You need to look that up online, all right? Okay. There's infertility and increased risk of miscarriages. Risk of death for women is 62% higher after abortion. And here's the stuff I'm going to start talking about, is the trauma following the procedure. 65% suffer symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. Do you know what that is? Have you heard PTSD? Usually from war, right? Same thing. They are 6 times more likely to commit suicide. And 40% take, this is what happens. 40% of teens do not tell their parents they're pregnant or that they're going to have an abortion. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, they start to have some medical complications and they don't want to tell their parents because they don't want it to be revealed. And they end up dying because they're hemorrhaging or there's something going on inside their bodies. The other thing is, abortion clinics, they offer, we can anesthetize you, we can completely put you out for this procedure. But if you don't have the money, they're not going to give you that anesthesia. So they'll say, well, we'll give you the abortion, but we just won't be able to give you the anesthesia because you only have $300 instead of $600. So the trauma is even more significant because you're awake and you hear the sounds and you see the blood and you experience the pain. Do you see how it's difficult when you're underage to get what you need, to get the help you need? Yeah, I'm really quiet on that. All right. Here's what happens after the abortion procedure, because the experience of the abortion itself is very, very, very traumatic. One experiences hallucinations, perceived visitation from their aborted child. Over 50% report abortion-related nightmares, suicidal thoughts, and substance use. Over 60% said they felt crazy. And they made the exact same statement, quote, "part of me died," unquote. Over 70% had abortion-related flashbacks and had to seek mental health treatment. And over 80% reported having a preoccupation with their aborted child. So these are girls and women who cannot watch a Pampers commercial without getting tearful. They will avoid baby showers or baptisms because the thought that they don't have their child is so overwhelming. So the thing on top of all of this is that it's a big secret. No one knows. Because you know what happens if the word gets out that someone's had an abortion. People are very, very ugly. And so what it is she is trying to keep her secret. She's in enormous amount of pain, and her child has died. She feels completely responsible, and there's no death certificate. There's no headstone for a grave. People aren't coming over bringing her food, but she's experienced a loss and a grief. And so there's nothing to do with it, so she just sits with that. So her grief is silent and is hidden. And then the relationship she was in is over. So can you imagine sitting with that? And it also affects guys, okay? And it affects guys differently because they don't endure the procedure of having a baby removed from their body, but they grieve differently. I'm going to let you look at this slide. Mind your way. Can you see it? All right, if they're adamantly opposed, they're going to be pretty angry. They're like, no, do not do this. If they're opposed, but they're like, well, it's your choice, it's your body, then they might feel a sense of loss. Also, this is a very emasculating thing. You know, because you might think, as a guy, you might think, I need to protect my child, and if you don't do that, you're going to feel bad about yourself. I mean, God made you in a way to be a protector, and a defender, and a provider, and abortion strips you of that. So if you said, yeah, we need to go ahead and have an abortion, and then you change your mind and she does it anyway, then you're going to start feeling like you can't trust people. She said one thing and did another, and then you may continue your relationship patterns not trusting people. If you're neutral, you may feel grief a little bit later. You may try just to ignore it and deny it. You abandon her and say, that's your problem. Then that's denial. You're not going to get very far in relationships. If you told her you have to have an abortion, you're probably going to end up having an abortion experience over and over again. And I've met with women that have had 5 and 6 abortions. And I've also met with guys who said, I had no idea she was pregnant until she told me that she had already had an abortion. I have never seen men so sad and so helpless in my life. And so these men, or these guys, are going to continue to remain confused and not trust. So, post-abortive men will deny their grief. It's not a guy-like thing to, show your grief. So because of that, they might not seek help. All right, let's talk about spirituality and abortion. If you have a question, just stop me, because I can go on. I don't get a lot of adult interaction. I have 3 little kids. All right. People come in all the time and confess their sin of abortion. And they view it as unforgivable. That is the one sin God will never forgive. Well, we know that's not the case. He does forgive this sin. So because of this, though, because women feel very, very unworthy of God's forgiveness and grace, that they just stay away from the church. Because you know what? I'm a bad person. I can't go to church. I can't do that. So then they experience some hardships. Like they may have difficulty getting pregnant. And they may think this is God's way of punishing me. Guys, we know God does not work that way. They may view physical problems or infertility of His vengeful justice. They feel unworthy to ask for forgiveness or to ask for God's help. So they might not pray because, you know what, I shouldn't ask you for anything because I'm a bad person. So what they do is they return to confession over and over again because they feel like it didn't take. I mean, I know the priest said, he gave me absolution and he said, go and sin no more, and I did my penance, but I still feel like it's there, and they just can't get through it. They can't get over it. They can't accept it. This is a real problem. I mean, this really stops you in your tracks in your spiritual walk. So the church teaching is, this is catechism, Jesus has the power not only to heal but to forgive sins. He has come to heal the whole man soul and body, and he is the physician the sick are in need of. So for those who receive the sacrament of penance, with contrite heart and religious disposition, reconciliation is usually followed by peace and serenity of conscience with a strong spiritual consolation. So it's like a spiritual resurrection. Even Pope John Paul II said, those of you who've had an abortion, the church understands that that had to be a difficult decision and that you were influenced. And what you did was wrong, but don't lose hope. Get the help you need. Come back. The Lord of mercies is ready to forgive you. And so that's what PATH does. And PATH is, yeah, right.
Now we know.
Now you know. That's right, my friend. Because abortion is bad.
It's really bad.
All right, listen. PATH is post-abortion treatment and healing. Now look, here's the thing. Yes.
All right.
Go on.
What it is, all right, your girl to get raped, and then tell your parents about it,
Yes.
and you give it to baby to their babies to your parents, and they raise them, and you don't see them.
That's awesome.
Parents found other babies. Is that people
You
do
can
that?
totally do that.
They do that?
You know what? People do that, yes. And I'm going to talk about rape, and I'm going to talk about all those hot topics. All right, so let me tell you about PATH, because that's my thing. All right, PATH is post-abortion treatment and healing, and we work with men and women and grandparents and friends of someone who's had an abortion experience. And we do a Bible study, and we do weekend retreats, and the Archbishop has endorsed our program, yes. And it's fabulous. So anyway, if you know someone who's post-abortive, you can mention PATH. All right, so this is what you say when somebody says to you, I've had an abortion. Recognize that they need to confess because they feel terrible and they just want you to know. They just want somebody to know. You don't need to ask them a ton of questions. All you need to say is, thank you for telling me, and I am so sorry for your loss, and I am here for you. Do not say, you can have other children in the future, that was the right decision at the time, because that's not the case, okay? That's not true. They just need somebody to hear them. Assure them that you're going to support them and that you will keep that private. And then help her call me. Help her call PATH. Help her get some help. Even if a guy comes and says, my girlfriend had an abortion, the same thing. Because that's a loss for him as well. All right, here we go. Here are the hot topics. You have been waiting all night for this, huh? Yeah. All right. I'm ready. I know y'all are going to be so impressed at me. Here's the thing with rape. All right. First of all, the church says no can do. There is no. There's no exception for the rape thing. Studies show that most women that are raped, first of all, I think it's less than 1 or less than 5%. Less than 5% of pregnancies are a result of rape. And fewer than 1% of abortions are because of rape. I mean, that's a little teeny tiny. I mean, it's significant for that person. But that shouldn't account for over how many millions of babies. Studies show that most women who are raped do not want to have an abortion because they have been so severely attacked that they feel like they can't turn around and do that to another person, particularly a baby. So they kind of have this, I don't know, aha moment. 70%, they did this study, does that make sense? They did this study of women, and I think it was like 292 women, I can't remember. 70% had their babies, and none of them regretted that decision. But 78% of those who aborted had regrets because they said the abortion was the same thing as the rape. It's someone they don't know violating their body, taking something that does not belong to them. So it mimics rape. It is an added trauma. So those who aborted reported that it only increased the trauma. And in cases of incest, where it's a young girl Remember I said earlier